Welcome to We Question and Learn. This is your host, Tom Pies. We're celebrating our 17th year on the air here at WQLN, NPR, and we are proud to say that not only do we still podcast the program at WQLN.org, we are now on NPR One, and we are also on 6 other podcast venues, so our reach over the last year has gone a little farther. Today we have Dr. Maureen Barber-Carey from the Barber National Institute on the program. Welcome to WQLN. We're really thrilled to speak with you today.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you also for those kind words of introduction. I'm really excited to be here to be able to talk a bit about what's been happening at the Barber National Institute, because we have been getting many, many questions about how are we doing.
Yes.
So if that's all right with you,
absolutely.
I'd just like to begin talking about giving everyone an update on where we stand with COVID-19.
Okay, from a general point of view, could you just say a few things about yourself, your position at the Barber National Institute, maybe a little bit about some of your responsibilities, then we can segue right into your activities, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
How long have you been there now? Got to think about this.
To be quite honest, I started here when I was 13.
Oh, my heavens.
In the Barber family, or in my family, it was your responsibility when you turned 13 to volunteer during the summers. And you had 2 options for volunteering. One, you could be a candy striper at St. Vincent's, or 2, you could work as a classroom aide during the summer at the Barber Center. And I wasn't one who enjoyed hospitals, but so I immediately decided I was going to be a classroom aide at the Barber Center. So I started as a volunteer when I was 13. So I had the ability to volunteer here during the summers, and then once I went to college, then I was able to come back here again during the summer and work the day camp programs.
And
after, go ahead, Tom.
No, you go ahead. And it's been fabulous ever since, right?
Well, it has been fabulous, and what's really fabulous to see how we have grown over the years, not only in terms of our size, but in terms of the breadth and the quality of our programs.
You were involved. I hope folks understand we can't see each other with the way this is recorded, so forgive me if I've jumped in on you. I apologize immensely. But you were in special education in the Erie School District?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was a special education teacher in the Erie School District and taught at a number of schools. And then after being a teacher there for about 6 years, I moved over to the Barber Center in an administrative program. I became the special ed supervisor for the school. And then over the years, I moved up into various positions, and currently I'm the executive vice president of the Barber National Institute. In that role, I have responsibilities for the children's programs, as well as fulfill many administrative responsibilities for the organization as a whole. One of the things I do in my position is I have a blog all about autism BNI. It's something that I started, and I'm amazed to even say this. I started about 8 years ago, and I wanted to be able to share my experiences both as a special ed teacher, as an administrator, and as a parent with those beyond the Erie City audience. And so what better way to do that but having a weekly blog? So I blog every week on various topics, everything from the latest in the research to what are we learning about autism in terms of what do we know about autism and the causes of autism. I talk about the latest developments in best teaching practices and just general information that parents might be interested in having. And in that way, I'm being able to share my experiences with the general population.
Even though the title of your organization is the Barber National Institute, I sometimes say Barber International Institute, mostly because of your outreach. Could you just spend a couple of minutes? How did it start, and how did it get to be where it is today?
Well, how we started was back in 1952, and Gertrude Barber was a psychologist for the Erie School District. So it was her responsibility when the children turned kindergarten age to test them and to enroll them in kindergarten. However, for children with special needs, when she would test them, she would find that they would have a disability. And at that time, children with disabilities were not welcome into the public schools. So she had to tell the parents that they only had two options. One would be to send their child to an institution, or two, to keep their child at home. So she and a group of parents wanted so much more for the children than that. And so that's how they began the first classes. It was volunteers, retired teachers, and children with special needs, and parents who joined together with Dr. Barber to see that children could get an education. So that's where we started from in 1952, and then we've grown to where we are today, which is serving approximately 6,000 children, adults, and their families across our footprint, which extends all across the state of Pennsylvania.
That's fabulous. And today, the size and breadth of your organization, for example, how many employees do you have?
We would have over 3,000 employees,
Wow.
again, across the organization.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, when I talk about our employees, we have an unbelievable group of employees. When you think about the challenges that they have on a day-to-day basis, as well as the challenges that COVID has brought upon us, they are there because they truly love what they do, and they're very committed to our mission, seeing that every child and every adult has every opportunity to be the best he can possibly be.
Now, you also, not only within your organization, provide great service, but you do a lot of statewide things. You belong to other organizations. Now, I just happened to boot those up. The list is going to be too long to read here. I'd like to know, when do you sleep?
Well,
it's an amazing what you've done here.
Yeah, we belong to a number of organizations because we really believe that we need to speak for people who can't speak for themselves. So for those children and adults with disabilities who can't speak for themselves, who can't be out there to advocate, it's up to all of us to advocate for them. So, that was one of Dr. Barber's strongest beliefs, is that not only do we need to provide programs and help children and adults with disabilities, but we have to be the ones who are out there speaking for them. And so over the years, many of us have been in presidents of various statewide organizations to allow us to really help shape public policy as it relates to children and adults with disabilities.
Every time I talk to you, it seems that you thoroughly enjoy what you do, but it is also, I believe, a personal mission for you.
Sure, I really love what I do. You've got that right,
yes.
Tom. Yeah. But certainly it is a personal mission too, because Dr. Barber was my mentor. She was the person who encouraged me to pursue special education. When I was a college student, not quite sure what I wanted to do. I had great experience as a volunteer here at the Barber Center, but wasn't sure. And she suggested that I might want to think about it. And when I thought about the great experiences that I had, I knew that that was a field that I would like to go into, and that's what prompted me to when I finished my college degree, to go ahead and pursue a master's degree in special education. So she was definitely a mentor, had a major impact on my life. And then certainly the ability, my volunteer experiences from 13 on, that had a great impact. And then certainly, probably most importantly, I do have a son with autism. And so when he was born, fortunately, we had many programs for children with autism. And over the years, we've expanded them, expanded not only our children's programs, but our programs for adults. My son has had many, many opportunities, and I'm certainly there as an advocate to see that all children and all adults with disabilities have had as many opportunities as he has had.
We're talking with the Executive Vice President of the Barber National Institute, Dr. Maureen Barber-Carey. Thank you for being on the program. Now, you started to mention that you had a blog, put a lot of time into it. It's a good communication mechanism, but on a daily basis, what's your life like at the Institute?
Well, I would say that it's a busy one, without question.
Yes.
And certainly because we have access with the computers to, whether you're in Erie, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. I may be online on a video talking with some of our staff in one of those programs. and you're able to, really impact so much more so than, sending a piece of paper off to someone. So a lot of it is responding to emails from our staff, emails from members of our community, colleagues as well. And there's, usually we're getting a call. Today I got a call from a family member who lives in North Carolina, and they're thinking about relocating to Erie. And the family member wanted to know what could we offer for their 5-year-old child who has autism. And so very often it's a call that I make or take from family members who want to talk about what the Barber National Institute could offer for them.
It's nice to hear a personal story because even though you have all this paperwork on your desk and logistical things and huge responsibilities, it seems to me that the human interest stories are what really touch the community. And if they hear a story similar to the one you just told, it really lets people know how you affect the daily lives, particularly of children. Am I close?
Good point. Good point, Tom, because if you don't have a child or an adult with a disability or a relative with a disability, you know about the Barber National Institute. You probably think, you see a little bit about what we do in the newspaper or on the social media, but you're really not quite sure what all transpires here. So I think it's those human interest stories that people can see that, people come from Seattle, Washington. They relocate to Erie because of the services that they can get for their son or daughter, the difference that we can make in people's lives. And that's usually via human interest story. I do love talking to families because I think that they need to know that there are people out there who care about them, who perhaps have walked in the same shoes as they have, and who want to help them. And so, I'm the first one to say, if a parent's calling to ask a question, I'm looking forward to talking with them so I can help them through the maze of finding services for their person with a disability.
Now, I've been fortunate enough several times, honored to get the tour, so to speak. So I don't know how you would paint a broad picture of how something like this works. Do you have something on the website that people can look at? Or
Sure.
yeah,
we do have on our website, we do have a tour of our school.
wonderful.
And we got that up there because, since March, we haven't had visitors, so we're not doing tours.
Right.
And we have families who are still contacting us to say, what can I do to come to your school? And so we wanted to be able to give them a visual tour. So through our social media department here, we developed a tour of our school. In terms of all the other services on the web, we have really an extensive review of the array of services that you can access, whether we're talking about family-focused services, behavioral health services, adult day services, residential services. So if you get on the web, and you're looking for something for a child or something for an adult, that will lead you to all the various services. So I would encourage our audience today, if they're interested in hearing more or seeing more about what the Barber National Institute can offer, do www.barberinstitute.org.
Fantastic. It's almost overwhelming, all the things you do. And from my point of view, that's an indication of the great need, not only in Erie, Pennsylvania, but Northwest Pennsylvania. Do you interface with other organizations as yourself across the country? Is there a group,
yes.
so to speak?
Yeah. There are groups. There is a National Association of Private Schools for Exceptional Children. So we're one of those charter members, and there are other associations for organizations that work with children and adults. Again, that comes back to advocacy. We really believe it's important to be part of those groups, to advocate for the people with disabilities, and to be a person or an organization that can help shape public policy as it relates to people with disabilities. I think back to Dr. Barber telling us the story about she was on President Kennedy's Commission on Mental Retardation. That was the commission that he founded to enable or to develop public policy for people with special needs.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't anything like that at that time, and she was selected to be a member of that. She also was at the signing of the Americans with Disabilities Act in 1990 with George Bush. Because she was such a strong believer in us shaping public policy, and that's certainly something that John Barber and I have continued to this day.
You segued perfectly into my next question. Tell us about, I use the term governance, which is somewhat of a nonprofit term to some degree, or organizational term, but what's the structure? Obviously, you're there. Who's helping you? Who works with you?
So John Barber is our
Yes.
president,
Yes.
CEO,
Fabulous
and
person.
then
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
very committed to our mission.
Mhm.
And then, of course, we have a very active board of directors. On our board of directors, we have persons sitting who are in key leadership roles in our community,
Mhm.
as well as some family members of persons with disabilities. So we have a very, very strong board. We also have a COO,
Mhm.
Debbie Verbelis, who came to us again from a leadership position with one of our local hospitals. And then we have a group of individuals who serve as vice presidents of everything from human resources to adult services, residential services. So those persons really have an extensive wealth of knowledge about the field of disabilities, as well as many of them served in direct service positions when they first came on board. A number of those people have been with us 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. Again, testimony to their commitment to the organization and commitment to persons with disabilities. So we've got a very, very strong leadership team here. I'm very pleased and proud to say.
Can we talk just about disabilities, children or otherwise, that you serve? How extensive is this, say, in our community, as an example, maybe as a sampling, but how extensive is the need across the United States, let's say? How prevalent is this? So people can get a handle. You don't see it every day. It's not something that you run into, yet it is everywhere. I was hoping you could paint
Very
a picture of how this affects our lives and our community.
Well, when one thinks that 1 in every 38 children are diagnosed with autism, just imagine if in our own Erie County, across the state, across the United States, how many children with autism are there? And those children with autism grow up, and so we have adults with autism. We began to see a significant increase in children with autism in the early 90s. And so we here talk about the tsunami of autism that those children who were diagnosed in the 90s are turning adults and are going to be needing adult services. Obviously, with all of our disabilities, whether we're talking about intellectual disabilities, mental health disorders, physical disorders, deaf, hard of hearing, those people with disabilities are in every facet of our community. And we really believe that we need to be parcel of the community. And I'm also pleased to say that so often we'll have families who have to relocate from Erie for one reason or another, and they'll call me when whether they're settling in Cleveland or Pittsburgh or beyond those areas, and just say, "Gee, we miss Erie." What? And I will say, "Well, tell me, what do you miss the most?" And they will say invariably, "We miss the acceptance that our son or daughter had in Erie. We may have wonderful services in Cleveland, but it's not the same." And I think that it isn't the same because we've been part of the fabric of the community since the early 50s. And so it's very very appropriate or very typical to find persons with disabilities living in your neighborhood. That may be a group home, or it may be a person who's living independently. But we I believe the disability community is very well accepted in our community because our roots are so strong.
Looking back to your great founder, 1952, Dr. Gertrude A. Barber, I wonder if she imagined how extensive this would become. That is, all the great services you provide. Did you think she anticipated this in some way? Obviously, she anticipated the need and was a wonderful person and worked diligently to help serve the underserved in the community. But who would have thought it would grow to this? And could you take one step farther and mention other services that you've developed that dovetail with your original mission?
Sure. I think she dreamed dreams. I remember reading that when she moved into the initial building, which was she called the Exceptional Children's Center, which was the former Lakeview Hospital.
Oh, wow.
There had at that time, the Lakeview Hospital used to serve persons with polio, and when there was no polio, it was a vacant building, and there was a request for proposals that went out in Erie County saying to various organizations, would you like to rent the building? Tell us what you want to use the building for and why.
Mm-hmm.
So she wrote a proposal to use the building for children and adults with disabilities. And many of the other providers in our community went to her and said, oh, Gertrude, you can't use that whole building. Why don't you share it with us? And at that time, she said, no, I know what we're going to be doing in the future, and I'm going to need that whole building. Well, of course, she did need that whole building, and she needed more than that. So she did do that dreaming. And would she have dreamed everything that we have today? Perhaps not, but her dreams were that people with disabilities would be in the community, part of the community, and they would be able to be the best that they could possibly be. And I think that's what we are able to offer to persons today. So originally our first mission was to serve persons with intellectual disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So that's expanded, obviously, to many, many more disabilities, so that today we serve, as I mentioned earlier, children with autism. We serve children who have physical disabilities. We serve children who have mental health disorders. We provide services to adults with mental health disorders. We have a behavioral health service line that provides everything from acute hospitalization to our children's partial program to various behavioral supports to the children and adults in our community. So our whole entrance into the behavioral health initially came because we also saw that some of our children and adults had behavioral health needs.
Mm-hmm.
But then from there, we expanded out to serve persons who did not have intellectual disabilities but did have behavioral health needs. Another program we have is many, many family-focused services, so that we are able to provide services to children and adults who live at home with their parents, or they may live in the community, or they may be independent, but they may need supports. So we provide everything from respite care to providing sitter companion services, to whatever services that family member needs to be able to keep their son or daughter at home. And that can be shaped, it's really thinking out of the box. What does that family person need to keep their son or daughter at home? The services are very, very broad. And so, again, I encourage anyone who's listening to us today to get on our webpage and see everything we have. We often, I'm thinking, even though I'm looking outside and it's winter and I see the snow coming down, there's summer camps. We offer summer camp programs. We have a Camp Connections, which is a program for children, a summer camp program for children with disabilities, children with autism, and then we have a program for children with intellectual disabilities. We run a summer program that's called Extended School Year for our children who would lose too many of their skill sets. During the summer, we provide a partial education program during the month of July where the children come to school. So pretty much we've developed any programs and services out there that children and adults and families might need.
It's easy for me to say because I see it almost every day. It's easy to thank you for the outstanding work that the Barber National Institute does. And of course, I've known you for a good bit, and John and a lot of your staff are out in the community. I think a note of thanks would be in order here, and I hope you don't mind me doing that. Any last thoughts that you would like to convey to the audience?
Well, I'd be happy to mention some of our events that are coming up over the next 6 to 9 months. We have an art show that's going to be a virtual art show sponsored by 2 local physicians, Dr. J and Mona Kang, and that's going to be happening online on April 8th to the 22nd. It's our second virtual art show.
Wonderful.
Since we're limited in terms of people coming, but it's a fantastic show. I think last year we had about 450 pieces of art by children and adults, both professional artists as well as those of you who just enjoy art.
Yes.
So keep in mind our virtual art show.
Yes.
Golf tournament this summer. Barber Beast on the Bay.
Yes.
It's our
huge.
Huge. Of course, it had to be postponed last year, but we're planning on it for this year. It's September 11th, and 2 years ago we had about 1,300 people, and I think we have about 700 people registered already. We have people from 17 states and 3 countries who participate in that.
Aptly named event.
Beast on the Bay. It is a beast. I haven't done it, but my son has, and it is a beast. Then we have a ladies-only luncheon the Saturday before Thanksgiving, so the ladies in our community can get together and celebrate both the Barber Institute and the upcoming Christmas season. And then our Christmas ball, which has been with us for 50-plus years, and that'll be back again on December 11th.
All things considered, and I hope it all works out that it's possible.
It is possible, and we all believe in the possible.
Absolutely.
So just to share with all of our listeners here today, some of the great things that are happening in terms of events at the Barber National Institute. But if I could also just say, Tom, what we're most thankful for is our community.
Yes.
Our community who has supported us since 1952. And we know we wouldn't be able to provide the extent of services that we do except for our community. So thank you to the community at large, our Erie, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, people who celebrate and support us across the country. We couldn't do it without you. And we're also very grateful to people like you, Tom, who give us the opportunity to talk about programs and services so that people out there know that we are here to help. So thank you as well.
One contact with someone who's served by the Barber National Institute or one short tour, you become an instant believer. You create great camaraderie in the community with your events, but you do it for what many of us believe is a very important cause. Thank you, Maureen Barber-Carey, the Executive Vice President of the Barber National Institute. Go online and look at all the great things you do, and thank you for being on We Question and Learn today.
Thank you, Tom.
Welcome to We Question and Learn. This is Tom Pies from WQLN Radio. We are also forwarding this program to NPR One. We're also on half dozen other podcast venues, but our prime focus is our broadcast program heard the first Sunday of every month on WQLN Radio. Today, special guest, Wendy Wallace, the Executive Director of Meals on Wheels in Erie. And I thought this would be an interesting program and conversation to have because in this COVID-19 era, things are different for everyone, and certainly they must be different for your organization.
Yes, Tom, thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to be on air with you and to have a chance to reach out to your listeners, tell you a little bit more about Meals on Wheels, our incredible organization, our great history, the services we provide, especially during the pandemic, and our heroic volunteers that make all our work possible.
Oh, that's fabulous. Well, let's start from scratch, if we could. Where is your organization? Where do you folks work out of?
Oh, sure. Our office is in Erie, right on Peach Street. So we're pretty centrally located. Our kitchen that we contract with is Lecom Senior Living Center. So that's just right down the street from us, and we work very closely with them to get the food out to our clients, which are all in Erie County.
That's an excellent idea. I didn't realize that. As with different Meals on Wheels, they gain their food or service or sometimes cook themselves. And so you have a very unique partnership and a good one.
Right. Our clients are very, very fortunate that I am not the cook. So, no, we contract that out.
That makes
And,
two of us,
that's
yeah.
how.
Well, as popular and as essential Meals on Wheels is, I'm going to bet there's some folks that do not know how this works, may not have known this is even in Erie, no fault of your own. They may be new to the area or they're listening from out of the area. How did this all start and how does this logistically work?
Oh, sure. Actually, we've been in Erie for 50 years, and we just started our celebration of our 50th anniversary just this month. So we're going to spend a whole year celebrating our long history in Erie. We started in 1971, and our founder is a Reverend Al Gessler, who lives in the Lawrence Park area. He and several Lutheran congregations saw that several of their parishioners and some people in the east side of Erie were having trouble getting out and getting food, making food for themselves, maybe grocery shopping due to getting older. It was becoming more difficult. So they wanted to find a way to get food to people's doorsteps, nutritious food. And so that's how Meals on Wheels came about for
Now,
Erie County. It's been around for a while nationally and internationally, but that's how it came to Erie.
That's what I thought. It's a huge org. Do you interface with the parent organization somehow? Do you collaborate somehow? Are you a member somehow of the?
Sure. There's an organization called Meals on Wheels America.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Yep.
And we are a member of that. They're kind of they oversee. They offer us educational opportunities, conferences to go to, so we can learn from one another.
Oh,
yes, we are a member.
Yeah. Okay, so there's like a template. Let's talk about logistics. You have how many in your staff?
There's 3 of us. So we
Oh
are
my
mighty
gosh.
and strong and very efficient. What we do rely on is volunteers. We have about 150 volunteers that keep us going, keep our work going. We rely on about 70 of them a week. So it's a strong organization. Few employees, lots of volunteers,
Oh
lots
my
of heart.
God! No, that's incredible to accomplish a project this large with an efficient staff like that. 3, you're all saints. This is a lot of work, I know. So, how did the partnership with, if I could ask, the partnership with LECOM come about?
Well, through the years, we've contracted with several different kitchens. We used Hammett Medical Center. A lot of people remember us working out of Hammett for a while, which is now UPMC.
Mm-hmm.
We had an organization. We worked with Mercyhurst University for a while. We had a few different organizations. St. Martin Center was our kitchen for a while, and also GCAC was part of our kitchen for a while. So we've worked with a lot of different organizations. LECOM just it matched their mission to help out the community, and we started working with them. I think it was about 4 years ago.
That's fabulous. And of course, they have senior care up on Peach Street, not too far from you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the big facility. So that's a great partnership to have then. Now, operationally, how do you raise money? Do you raise money? Are you operating under grants? Logistically, how do you survive?
Both of those things.
Okay.
We're freestanding. We're a freestanding nonprofit, and some of the other Meals on Wheels chapters, they get government funding that keeps them going 100% of the way. But we rely on fundraising, we rely on grant writing, and we rely on private funds from some of our clients. Part of our program is a private pay meal program. So that's how we get our funding. Usually we have a lot of special events. We have a luncheon every year, a golf tournament, some smaller events that we have to raise money. But with COVID-19, we haven't been able to do that. We did do our golf tournament, and that was in the fall. We were able to do that safely.
Keep that outside,
The events have been, not available way for us to raise funds.
So between the grants and the fundraising, and of course the support of the LECOM folks, all those numbers add up to X amount of meals. Do you count by the day, by the week? How do you measure that?
Oh, we deliver about 600 meals a week,
Wow.
and
Okay.
that's basically what we do. About 140 clients that we get meals out to. And we stretch pretty deep into the county. We have about 11 routes that we send our volunteers out on to stretch out to the corners of the county to get our meals out and about to people that are homebound and needing them.
Okay, so folks have to qualify somehow for the service. How do you measure that? Although you probably have more folks asking than you may have energy. I don't know.
Well, you just have to qualify by being over the age of 60 and living in our territory.
Okay.
Now, if you're looking for free meals and you're over the age of 60, that is not our program.
That's not your program, right?
We can refer you over to GCAC, and they have a program for people that are over 60. They have income qualifications, and they can get you set up over there. But we have several different programs. One program is the over 60 for seniors, and that's a private pay program. That's out of pocket. We're the only ones in the county that have an under 60 program. That's for people with permanent disabilities, and that is a free program. So we do have some qualifications for people there.
So
we do have a veterans program.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, great. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a great veterans program, which we started in July of last year, right around the 4th of July, and we have some qualifications for that and a waiting list, unfortunately, because that is completely grant funded. But you have to show proof of service and live in our delivery area and be over age of 60 for our veterans program.
So the obvious thing is these are folks who can't just get in the car and head down to the supermarket. Is there right? Am I correct in that assumption? Pretty much folks who
right.
can't.
Yeah, our target folks are people that are really homebound, maybe can't get out and about to get the groceries to prepare meals. Maybe they have some disabilities that make preparing meals difficult. Or we have some people that just choose they don't want to cook anymore. It's not something that they like to do, and they would rather have a delicious, nutritious meal that's ready to heat up, delivered to their doorstep.
Well,
so it's a variety of different people.
I remember different relatives. We were very nervous about them turning on the stove, for heaven's sakes, as a safety issue. So this has a value in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, it's a solution a lot of times for people that are caregiving for people with dementia. They set up the meal delivery, and it really is, it works well for a lot of different situations.
So what is the application process? Someone has to have a need. There might be some outside support, like an institution of some sort. How do they apply, so to speak?
Oh, certainly. Just call us by phone, and we can take information over the phone. Make it easy as possible, and we take applications every day. We've been very busy since the pandemic began, but we take new customers every day.
So that was the question I was going to bring to you. Now with the pandemic, you have folks that are, let's be honest, they don't want to go to the grocery store. It's a harrowing experience for some folks. Not that the stores do a bad job, but it's more of a stress for an older person to go out in public, possibly. So would they talk to you?
Yes, absolutely. It's stressful for all of us, honestly, to go to the grocery store anymore, but especially for people that are older and have some fear of the virus, and they want to stay in their own bubble. And I encourage my own older relatives to definitely also do that. So we do have some people that grocery shopping is just not something they want to do to maybe stay away from the virus. That's why we not only deliver meals, we also have a grocery shopping and delivery service.
Okay.
Which is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. And now that's getting to be a competitive business as well, as the bigger stores are able to do that or want to do that. Or competitively.
Yeah, we do it better, though. I'm a little impartial.
That's okay.
We do it better because people can call in over the phone and place their orders by talking to a person. We have a grocery shopping coordinator that takes orders over the phone. She's quite a detective, so she asks a lot of questions.
Oh, great.
What size, what brand, so people get what they want.
Yes.
And then we set up volunteers that go out and do the grocery shopping.
Yes.
And so they're very detail-oriented people, and they get what people want and deliver the groceries right to the doorstep. So it's a great system. We use Giant Eagle markets and Sanders markets, and we deliver countywide. We also take EBT or food stamp benefits for groceries, so we have that system in place for people to make it so easy.
Wonderful. Now, your volunteers, could you reiterate the number of folks that volunteer to help you with Meals on Wheels?
Sure. Between the two programs, the grocery shopping and the meal delivery programs, we have about 150 volunteers, and we're always taking more volunteers. With the pandemic, it has put some strain on our volunteer system. Some volunteers maybe have stepped back for a little while because they're seniors themselves and really want to take a little break from us, and we completely understand that. We've had a lot of new volunteers come out saying, I want to help my community, I want to find a way to give back, and I want to help in this way. So we're very thankful for volunteers. We love our volunteers. We just always want to love more of them.
We're talking with Wendy Wallace, the Executive Director of Meals on Wheels, right here on Upper Peach. And we're gaining an insight as to how Meals on Wheels works in our community. Large number of volunteers, a huge number of folks being serviced. Let's say someone heard about your project here. They heard about your outreach, and they thought, well, I have time to do this now. They should call you?
Sure, 814-452-6930. But then we have a website that details quite a bit of our information, including volunteer opportunities, or if you have a loved one that would benefit from meals, that's mealsonwheelserie.org. So people can check us out that way. If you're interested in volunteering, there's three main choices.
Mm-hmm.
Either you want to be a meal delivery driver or a grocery shopping person. For meal delivery, you can be a person that is assigned to a certain route. You do it one day a week, and that's your route. Or you can be a substitute driver where we'll call you if we have call-offs, and then a grocery shopping volunteer. If you volunteer to be a meal delivery person, you have to be kind of a morning person.
Mm-hmm.
Our meals are delivered between 9 o'clock in the morning and noon, and you have to pick up the meals between 9 and 9:45 at LECOM. And then the substitute drivers, you have to be someone that's maybe real flexible in your schedule and able to help us out that way. For grocery shopping, we do grocery shopping on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And you do that according to your schedule.
Well, you pick the busiest days.
Yeah, I know. We take orders on Mondays and Tuesdays, and that's just kind of how it works out.
Okay.
But that's the grocery shopping program. We have a lot of people that still work full-time, and they still help us out with grocery shopping after they're done with their day at work. So that's a really neat program, and we do appreciate all those volunteers.
Now, on the logistics of that, all the groceries are taken up to LECOM, or is it like, are they warehoused to some degree, or are they picked up at the store and then delivered? I'm just asking.
Oh, sure. We take the orders over the phone, and then we use Giant Eagle markets or Sanders markets. So our volunteers go to the grocery store.
Yes.
They pick up the orders from, they get their list, they shop for the specific client, and then they take it to the client's home.
Oh, okay. This is a nonstop deal. So they're using their own vehicle then to do this.
Yes.
Oh,
Everybody that volunteers, yes, you have to have a vehicle.
And you need a vehicle that's able to hold more than 3 or 4 bags of
Meals on
groceries.
Wheels, you need to have some wheels. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. The obvious thing relative to the name of the organization, but what I was getting at is that even one person is a volunteer one day a week. That's a task, right? Each volunteer, 10, 20 people maybe in a day?
Our routes run about 10 stops. So some of them are married couples, so it's not too taxing, and actually it's really rewarding. It's fun. We do rely 100% on volunteers to deliver our meals and our groceries, but sometimes I get to do it if we're really stretched, and it's fun. I love doing that. Those are really good days for me when I can get out and see the people and and really see their smiles and bring them food to their doorsteps. People are very thankful. It's a good feeling for volunteers to see that and to know that they're making a difference in people's lives.
Well, this can work easily because it's a leave on the doorstep thing. You don't have to invade a person's space. You can stay far enough away when you make a delivery. I don't think seeing smiles is as easy anymore, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're very right.
You have to paint a
Yes,
smiley face on the Meals on Wheels masks.
on the mask.
Yeah.
Yes, all our drivers since COVID-19 are required to wear masks and gloves and hand sanitize between deliveries. So we've put a lot of safety precautions into place so that we can have our volunteers stay safe and our drivers stay safe. We also are doing touchless delivery. So
Yes.
we deliver the meal, for example. We hang it on the doorknob. We knock. We make sure that the person gets the meals. We wave. Can have a conversation from 6 feet away, but then it's done all safely, and people get the meals.
I've seen packages in other areas. It's not a big deal. It's sort of like a home delivery from a restaurant. Same size of package, same cautious packaging, I'm sure, obviously, since it comes from Lecom. So it's not a big deal then to leave it hanging on the doorknob, so to speak.
No, they have really they've always done a great job for us, but since COVID-19, they've really stepped up in terms of making sure everything is done very safely. And to make sure that our clients feel safe, their staff is safe, our volunteer is safe, all the way from how we pick up the meals and how that they're delivered and packaged.
Actually, if you were going to volunteer for something and you were concerned about personal contact, this is pretty safe because you just hang in a bag, so to speak. It's not like you're going in and setting up a meal. You're pretty well distanced and you're in the safety of your own car, and it sounds like your system is very good.
Right. We provide with people with masks and gloves, and
Oh,
so we
great.
provide the equipment even. So, and the training. We every volunteer that calls in and is interested in training, we send out our handbook to them to make sure it's something that matches what they're expecting, and then we do the training. Right now, it's been over the phone, sometimes into our office one-on-one, but we've been, doing a lot of training over the phone. But we want to give the safety protocol and all the information about how to be a volunteer. We give that to our volunteers so they feel confident in what they're doing.
You have two screening processes going. You have the concept of who you serve. You're very cautious with that, I'm sure. And of course, you're very cautious about who delivers as well. So you probably run this all out of a database in your office, I'm sure, and that probably takes a lot of work. Do you have any need for other services that people can volunteer for relative to the operation of Meals on Wheels?
Sure. We're always looking to take application for board members. We are run by a board. So if anybody's interested in serving on our board of directors, we're always taking applications and talking to people about that level of service. But yes, that's basically our needs right now is the drivers, which we always need more drivers, grocery shoppers, and board applicants always, yes.
Now, you mentioned you are part of or you interface with a larger organization. Is that set up on a state level, then a national level, or is there just a national Meals on Wheels program?
There's a national Meals on Wheels program, and then there's a state organization. We basically just get together to have trainings and have some information sharing, what's working for your chapter, what's working or what isn't working, or sharing practices that are best practices. So yeah, we have a group that gets together and talks about those sort of things. Yeah.
Do any of the other nonprofits in the community offer some help?
Well, we partner a lot with a lot of different nonprofits. Such as the Second Harvest Food Bank.
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah.
We're thankful to our relationship with them. Most recently, we just did blizzard bags for all of our clients. They were shelf-stable food items in case we're not able to get out and deliver if there's a snow blizzard. So we call them blizzard bags. And the Second Harvest Food Bank packs the bags. They use their volunteers to pack the bags with the food items, and then we top them off with, this year we topped them off with a blanket that commemorates our 50th anniversary, and those went out to all of our clients just a way to let them know we're thinking of them, and then a precaution if we're not able to get out and deliver. But we say with pride that we have not missed a delivery. We have not missed a delivery day in 50 years.
Be careful. The post office is going to get jealous.
I know.
I'm kidding.
I
I'm
know,
teasing. They do good work, too.
Our volunteers, they go out in all sorts of weather, and they're just a wonderful, dependable group of good souls in our area. They're part of the COVID-19 heroes, too. So I like
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah.
Let them know that they're really part of that team.
Talk about your board. Is it a large board? What is board governance like? Or are the board folks more volunteers than governance? How does your system work at Meals on Wheels?
Oh, yeah, we have a great board. Once again, I'm impartial, but they're a 15-member board. They come from all different sorts of professions. We have some educators, some retired educators, people in the banking industry, some college professors, just a great group of people. Some people that are retired from the social service profession, but they're a good group. They oversee what we do, make suggestions, volunteer at our special events and through our special projects. They're very involved, and I'm thankful for them.
You got a working board. You put them to work.
We have a working board. We do.
And that's critical in this day and age. As you mentioned before, this pandemic scenario has caused some issues. So do another call to action for volunteers. How many do you need right now? Are you looking for a dozen, couple dozen? Or are you just going day to day and just balancing the routes out?
We never turn anybody away. We could use another couple of dozen. We just recently got an expansion to our under 60 program. So we are taking applications for people that are under 60 and have a permanent disability, that are homebound, and are struggling with food insecurity. So we're going to be adding more people to our under 60 program. So that means we need to add more volunteers as drivers and more routes. So, yes.
You're looking at least another dozen or two folks to help you out with this new program then.
Yes, that would be wonderful.
That would be perfect, yeah. If you're looking for a safe way to volunteer where you can keep your distance, stay in your own car, when you're picking up the packages, you're picking that up from, it's a medical institution. This sounds like an almost ideal thing to volunteer for in a COVID environment. To me, anyway, it seems like it's a good deal, so to speak.
It's a great way to make a difference in people's lives, and it's a great program.
Okay, if I could just ask, this is the final question usually, and sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's difficult. How long have you been with Meals on Wheels, first of all?
Myself, I've been here about a year and a half.
Okay.
Yes, so
Wendy Wallace, congratulations.
Small part of the 50-year history, but so proud of our founder and people that have made contributions to the organization. I have about 25 years working in the senior social service community in this area, though, so I've always worked with seniors and people with disabilities, so it's in my heart.
Okay, it's in your heart.
And my whole career.
And it's part of your career. Where do you see Meals on Wheels a couple years from now, 5 years from now? Is this going to be a very manage-as-you-go type of operation relative to the needs of the community? Or you did add a new layer of service? Do you see doing new things in the upcoming years?
Yes. Yeah, we're expanding our persons under 60 with disabilities program. I see us growing and staying as a viable part of the community for the next 50 years at least.
Good.
We are growing. We're staying strong. We've hit some bumps in the roads in our history. Even since I've been here, we've had a lot of challenges, but it's a very resilient organization, and we plan on keep on going, keep on growing, keep on rolling, and that's what we do.
That's a great phrase, keep on rolling. Excellent. That was very I didn't think that was intentional, but there's your new slogan, keep on rolling. 50 years of service, yeah, isn't it great? 50 years of service to the Northwest Pennsylvania community. You go down as far as Corey, right?
Right. We go Edinboro. Our grocery shopping program is all countywide. For our meal delivery program, we have some boundaries because we need to develop more volunteer structure. But we go as far as Harbor Creek, Wesleyville, and then we go Girard, Lake City, Fairview area, and down to Edinburgh and Waterford area. So, and of course, all of the city of Erie. But that's our meal delivery area. But
well, I'm sure the
do
people
grocery shop in the Quarry area.
Oh, excellent. Wonderful. I'm
Yes.
sure the folks that you do good work for appreciate everything you do. Wendy Wallace, the Executive Director of Meals on Wheels in Erie, Pennsylvania. Thank you. Thank you for your staff, and thanks to all the fabulous volunteers that go out in the community and all the organizations that support something that I know over the years has been very critical to this community and communities all over the United States. With that, thank you very much for being a guest today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom, for having me. Thank you very much.